Hello everyone, Chelle here of the Wanderbots, and in this video I'll be trying out Sable's Grimoire by Zetsubo. Many thanks to Needful Thing on Patreon for suggesting this game. Sable's Grimoire is, from what I've gathered, a narrative dating sim in which the protagonist, the titular Sable, attends a mage academy populated by various monster girls. I usually don't play dating sims because it's really awkward for me. I tend to go the romanceless routes in whatever game I play. But I would definitely love to see more settings like a mage academy for narrative games. The art is also really well done, and I'm looking forward to learning more about the magical world of Sable's Grimoire. Also, this music is really cool. Well, without further ado, let's begin. Amadronia Academy, the alma mater of many of the greatest magi in the world. Ooh. So I have quick save, saves, hide. Alright, I think I clicked to continue. But look at this place. So this is probably the main academy. Maybe there's dorms? I don't know what that kind of auditorium would be. But then they have a track. Probably some kind of interesting... I don't know what kind of center that would be, but really pretty out in the middle of the forest too. A place of learning and discovery, a home to those who have powers beyond their understanding, a refuge for races oppressed by humanity. Ah, so that's probably why there's a lot of various creatures from mythology and beastkin and things of that nature there. Notorious though it may be, Amadronia Academy is a place where my kind can feel at ease. It is where we magic users can band together and learn about our mysterious powers without fearing prejudice and backlash from the envious and scornful. It is a place open to all races, all ages, and all nationalities. Anyone who wields magic power, great or small, may become a student here. And for the next 3 to 6 years, I'll be living among them. As a mere human being, it is quite possible that I will not fit in here. Magic academies such as this are typically filled to the brim with demi-human races, many of which are gifted in the arcane arts. Compared to them, human beings are powerless. So few of us are capable of using magic to begin with, and even for those of us who can, we cannot measure up to elite demi-humans. Nonetheless, I plan to turn many heads during my time at Amadronia. Natural ability is not everything. What I lack in raw power, I more than can make up for in technique, understanding, and creativity. Mark my words, by the time I leave this academy, everyone will know the name Sable Labir. So this must be Sable then, of the title, and then is it Labir or Labber? So like labyrinth. Ooh, interesting. And a subway station? I breathe in a deep sigh as the fatigue leaves my body. Closing my eyes, I stretch out my back and neck, which have grown stiff during my lengthy wait. Patiently, painstakingly, I've sat idly for the past hour or so, struggling to stay awake as I watch for my train. Sheesh, I'm starting to feel like I've never reached the academy. My train was supposed to be here half an hour ago. What's the holdup? I glance up at the physical data terminal overhead as I silently complain. Wow, this music is really cool. Its display, which is supposed to update in real time the moment anything changes, makes no mention of any delays or changes in schedule. As far as I can tell, my train should have already come and gone. There are no delays mentioned, and I'm definitely on the right train line. I'm I see, I'm not heading in the wrong direction either. On the other hand, I haven't seen anyone else wearing the academy uniform around here. Is it a coincidence? Is there some obvious explanation that's eluding me? Perhaps I should take a deeper look. I walk away from the other people on the platform, intentionally isolating myself. Once I'm far enough away that I can move around without bumping into anyone, I thrust my right hand out and turn my palm upwards. Terminal. Possibly the most well-known and widely used spell in the world. Ooh, interesting. So they have kind of tech magic? Recent search, documents, contacts, more. Welcome back, Sable. How may I help you today? Despite being considered a spell of advanced difficulty, Terminal is, for many, the first spell they learn, or at least the first spell they master. And it's no wonder why. Who wouldn't want a gateway to their own mind? Not to mention the minds of others, always at their fingertips. Terminal is the weightless, translucent, ethereal equivalent of a personal computer. The data is all stored inside one's mind, and by communicating to the minds of others, terminals allow people to communicate and to share information. As the number of people capable of using Terminal expands, so too does the vast pool of information at our disposal. So, kind of like the internet. It has become an invaluable tool, particularly for students, and as a result, the spell has naturally grown more and more popular. Now then, let's see here. Train timetable, train timetable. Tapping the air just before the floating screen in front of me, I search my own mind for the train timetable I viewed before leaving home. So Central Line, search criteria, source Orwell Station, destination Amadronia Academy, arrive before 9 a.m. Best match 7:30 a.m. Central Station to Amadronia City, swap trains at North Shore. That's weird. I definitely didn't mix up the time, or the train line. So where the heck is...
Is that a terminal?
Ah, so that's what Sable looks like. Sort of a short, black-haired, green-eyed boy. I dispel my terminal and turn my head as a surprised shout reaches out to my ears. Oh, red-haired girl.
Hey, that was a terminal, right? Wasn't that a terminal?
Yes, that's right. Are you...
Show it to me.
No, but I already...
Show me!
Oh gosh. I unconsciously take a step back as the energetic girl in front of me pushes forward. Seeing her enthusiasm in full force, I breathe a sigh of resignation, then raise my hand. Fine, take a step back. Nodding happily, the girl does as I say. So be it.
It really is a terminal, a real live terminal in the flesh.
No, terminals aren't alive, nor do they have any flesh. It's just a projection of...
Hey, does this thing have any games on it? Ooh, can you access the internet through this thing?
Hey, stop that! My terminal disappears as the girl in front of me pushes her hand through it.
It's gone! I didn't break it, did I?
That look of horror. Huh? What kind of idiot? I stop myself mid-sentence. As foolish as the girl before me seems, I know that I shouldn't look down on her. There's nothing shameful about not knowing how a spell works. I can't call her an idiot for being unfamiliar with the workings of something considered to be advanced technique. Thinking that way, I sigh once more, then raise my head and look at her in the eye. It isn't broken. Or you broke it. I mean, she probably dispelled it because you're not supposed to touch it or have someone else touch your terminal, but I'll say it isn't broken. It's fine. It isn't broken. You just disrupted the spell. That's all.
I did something like that?
That's right. Terminal is a useful spell, but the screen it creates is very fragile. That's why I stopped short of ever actually touching the screen. Watch. I separate from the girl and raise my hand once more, calling forth my terminal. With the screen in front of me, I use my other hand to interact with the untouchable device, sending random commands to the screen as I demonstrate how a terminal is used.
You're right. You didn't touch it, but it still reacted to your movement.
You got it. Terminals may be useful, but they're easily dispelled. So although you don't have to worry about breaking them, it's difficult to maintain one for long.
I see. So that's what terminals are like, huh? Amazing.
A joyful smile creeps onto the girl's face as she stares into my eyes.
Thank you. That was a very enlightening experience. I look forward to learning more from you in the future, Senpai.
Oh no! She's doing the whole senpai thing. Suddenly acting reserved and courteous, the girl lightly bows her head. Don't worry about it. I become rather single-minded too when I see something outside my understanding, so I totally... Wait a minute. Senpai?
You have no idea how glad I am that you're here, Senpai. And not just because I finally got to see a terminal up close for the first time. Before I saw you here, I thought I'd gotten onto the wrong platform. But if you're here, then this must be going to Amadronia Academy after all.
This train. Yeah, so she's here for the academy as well? I raise an eyebrow as I try to piece together the words of the peculiar girl in front of me. While it's true that I'm heading to the academy, and I've just become a student here, I'm definitely no older than this girl. Furthermore, today will be my first day at Amadronia Academy. It's far too early for anyone to be calling me their senior.
Hey, Senpai! Senpai, listen. I've got a question.
I ruffle my hair with my hands as I shake my head. Without asking what she wants, I voice my own thoughts instead. Stop calling me that, would you? I'm not your senior in any sense of the word. Aside from knowledge pertaining to magic, apparently. Besides, why senpai anyway? You don't look Japanese to me.
Senpai, don't be rude. There are some things you just shouldn't say to a person. Even if you doubt someone's background, you're allowed to call them out on it.
Oh, whatever. I don't agree with that at all, but I'm not about to get in an argument over this. Giving up without a fight, I shrug and move the conversation along. Fine, let's say you're Japanese.
I am Japanese. 1/4 to be exact.
Like it matters. Wow, Sable. Really? I mean, he was probably trying to call her out on some kind of appropriation, but... Because there definitely is... I remember back in school, I mean, I was even part of the kind of anime/Japanese club back home because I really liked anime and manga. But I don't know if I would ever bring a lot of terminology like, say, senpai into my own language because I would feel like, yeah, I haven't earned the right to use it and things of that nature. It's also a little awkward for me. But yeah, him questioning her ethnicity and then her saying, well, actually, I am 1/4 Japanese. Yeah, no wonder she's angry. Even if that is the case, that isn't the only problem here. I mean, aren't we the same age? And this isn't the first, wait, this is the first time we've met, right? So why are you calling me that?
Oh, I see. You don't want me to call you senpai, huh?
Yeah, Sable could have been a little bit more direct and just ask about the senpai business. Just say that he's uncomfortable with it as opposed to asking why she uses it at all. Well, I don't really care. It's just a bit misleading and...
No, I understand. I understand completely. Gosh, how could I have been so rude? I was so captivated that I forgot to even introduce myself. Let alone ask for your name.
Completely misunderstanding my concern, the girl in front of me smiles brightly.
My name is Ray Mikawa. Starting today, I'm a student at Amadronia Academy. Let's see. My hobbies include cooking and eating and food preparation and
more food. And food. And more food. Your name is plenty. Save the full introduction for when we get to class. And just how much do you like food anyway? I stare at Ray's stomach and then run my eyes over the rest of her body. At a glance, it would seem that she's the type who eats a lot yet never puts on weight. Maybe she exercises an awful lot too, or just has a really high metabolism. I know I can eat quite a bit without gaining weight, but as I get older, I start thinking to myself, you know, maybe I should be a little bit more conscientious of things, just in the instance that my metabolism does slow down.
Well, senpai, aren't you gonna introduce yourself? Or could it be that you want me to call you senpai after all?
Oh no. Oh, right. My apologies. I straighten up my back and put on a smile. My name is Sable. Like you, today will be my first day at Amadronia Academy. Ray suddenly screams loudly in shock, drawing curious gazes from all around us. What, does she see a monster person behind him or something? Oh no, she's just shocked that he can use such advanced magic.
Yeah, you're only just now entered the academy, and you can already use advanced magic? Are you an elf or something?
No, I'm human. I just practice and study a lot, that's all. Not that I could blame Ray for thinking otherwise. I may not be a powerful mage, but by human standards, I'm actually pretty high up there. Many demi-human races such as elves and pixies are known for being gifted at magic. Their weakest and most feeble-minded kin are far more talented than even the greatest of human mages, to the point where the comparison is downright embarrassing. And yet, despite the significant gap between us, many of these exceptional races are also similar to human beings, at least in terms of appearance. Elves, for example, are often mistaken for human beings, and human mages are in turn mistaken for elves. It is a common misunderstanding, and even though I personally don't take offense to being called an elf, there are many who feel quite differently. I wonder then, they were talking about a lot of prejudices and stuff, but it seems like if humans aren't really adept at magic, I mean, maybe they're adept at technology, that tends to be the compensation that humans have. But yeah, I'm wondering what the social strata is in this particular universe. Perhaps I should strive to become a tad more observant from now on myself. From what I understand, Amadronia Academy is packed full of different kinds of demi-humans. I'd hate to cause a ruckus by accidentally offending them or misunderstanding their intentions. Everyone's so considerate. I really like that.
Wow, you're a human, yet you've already learned advanced spell like Terminal? That's amazing.
I stop zoning out and focus on Ray once more, only to find her staring at me with eyes filled with wonder and excitement.
You look like you're my age, but we're on totally different levels. You must be a prodigy or something.
No, I wouldn't go that far. He is blushing a little. Like I said, I just study and practice a lot. It took me a long time to get to this level. Amadronia Academy's only strict requirement for entry is that a person has awakened as a mage. As such, it's not unusual for people of differing levels to be in the same grade. The Academy doesn't appear to discriminate based on age, race, or natural ability either, so in some cases, elves who are hundreds of years old may study side by side with teenage humans like myself. It's a system which has come under fire often over the years, but despite the repeated criticisms, this old system still remains in place.
Wait a minute, how did you learn an advanced spell like Terminal without attending a magic academy? Did you have a tutor or something?
Nah, nothing like that. I just didn't have anything else better to do, so I devoted my free time to studying. Well, there's also the fact that I'm pretty obsessive. When I find something interesting, I can't bring myself to turn away.
I know what you mean. Like when you see a kitty cat roaming around in the middle of the street. And you wonder, does this cat have a home? Or is it a stray? So you spend the rest of the day following it around.
I think your obsession is a little bit different than mine. Anyway, you're starting at Amadronia Academy too, Ray?
That's right. Starting today, I'm going to become a world-class cleric.
Oh, so they already have kind of specialized mage classes that they'll eventually get into? A cleric? You're specializing already? Although every mage is forced to learn the basics, we are inevitably given choices to make regarding what we want to study. After a person's first 3 years at Academy, this comes to a climax, and we're told to choose a specific field of study. By our 6th year, we're expected to be ready to enter the workforce in that field. It would seem that, without having attended a single class, Ray has already decided that she wants to become a cleric, a healer, who can save people even from the brink of death. It's a noble profession, but not one which many people aspire towards.
I sure am. Why waste time dabbling when you already know what you want to do? Besides, I'll have you know that I'm quite the expert when it comes to healing magic.
Oh, that's rather surprising. There aren't many people our age who can use spiritual magic effectively. Do you come from a family of healers?
That's right. The women in my family have all been priestesses and nurses for generations. I'm the first one to use actual magic, though.
The little tongue out one. I stare in disbelief at Ray, the wannabe cleric who apparently doesn't understand the difference between healing magic and medicine. Coming from a family of nurses really isn't the same as being born into a lineage of spiritual magic practitioners. Does Ray not understand why this distinction is so important? Or is she doing this on purpose just to mess with me? Shaking my head, I once again gaze towards the physical data terminal hanging overhead. Seeing me stare at the device, Ray follows my line of sight.
Huh. It still isn't here? If I were alone, I probably would have asked someone if I was in the right place by now.
I'm beginning to think that we should do that anyway. The timetable I looked up to said the train that should have been here a long time ago. There haven't been any delays mentioned, so... I stop mid-sentence as I notice that Ray's figure has disappeared from my side. When I locate Ray, I find her talking to a middle-aged man, seemingly asking him about the train timetable. Ray then speaks to a few more people, and after gathering enough information to satisfy herself, she faces me once more.
I'm back! Did you miss me?
You were gone for less than a minute.
No need to be shy. Just be honest and say that you missed me.
So, what did you find out? Are we in the right place?
You totally missed me.
Not letting up, Ray continues to smirk proudly. I sigh and place my hand on my face, at which point Ray starts to move along.
I asked a few people, and they all said the train would be here shortly. Apparently, most of the people heading to the academy get off at the platform before this one, since the express train skipped this platform.
The express train skipped this platform. Wait, what did you just say? My eyes open wide as Ray's words register in my mind. I am on the correct train line. I did get the right time. I am heading in the right direction. But I transferred at the wrong station? For crying out loud, how can I make such a stupid mistake? I knew I shouldn't have distracted myself by studying on the ride over here.
Don't worry. We have plenty of time before the opening ceremony. Even if the train takes longer, we'll still reach the academy with time to spare.
The opening ceremony isn't the problem here. This is your first day too, right? I don't know about you, but I was planning on buying some spare uniforms and taking a look around the campus. If we wait until after the ceremony, the place is going to be packed, and it'll be hard to get anywhere without bumping into anyone or getting pushed along.
I don't understand. Have you never been to Amadronia Academy before? You should have already visited during last month's orientation seminar, right?
There was an orientation seminar? Ah, poor Sable.
Uh-huh. I received my letter 1 week before the seminar. Didn't you?
Amadronia Academy still sends out physical letters? What the hell is wrong with them? They're a prestigious magic academy, for crying out loud. And I already gave them my terminal ID when I enrolled. How hard is it for them to send the notification to my terminal? Oh, so they're not using email. The magical email. That's how they notified me of my placement. So is it so hard to do the same for matters such as this? Unless Sable isn't actually supposed to be there and it's some kind of weird scam. Who knows? Inwardly venting my anger, I feel myself becoming rapidly disillusioned. I never gave Amadronia Academy a mailing address, since it wasn't listed as a mandatory field on the application. For that same reason, I assumed that they'd send the relevant information directly to my terminal, like they have until now. If important information is going to be sent that way, why didn't they make a mailing address a requirement?
Sable, are you okay?
Oh, sorry. I was just lamenting. Anyway, I guess it's not a big deal. If everyone else has already seen the campus, then I might be able to wander around freely after all.
Do you want me to show you around? I've only been here once before, but I should still show you the layout of the campus better than you do.
Oh, I should still know the layout of the campus better than you do. Whoops. I wouldn't be so sure about that. I summoned forth my terminal once more, bringing up a map of the campus. So these must be some of the hallways. This definitely looks like it's a medical room, like the nurse's office. I don't know what those are on the walls. Maybe some kind of charm? And then a courtyard of some sort.
Whoa! Is that the academy?
It sure is. Most second-year students know how to use the terminals, so it's not surprising that you can get detailed maps of the academy with ease. As long as I have this, I can view every corner of the academy and immediately discern the location of whichever classroom I desire. So don't worry about me. Armed with my trusty terminal, Hey! Ray once again puts her hand through my terminal, causing it to disappear. Why did you do that?
Humph. If your terminal is so great, then why didn't you ask it instead?
Huh? Pouting unhappily, Ray walks towards the edge of the platform. Before I can address her once again, I realize that our train is finally pulling onto the platform. Ray then enters the carriage ahead of me, putting our conversation on hold as I weave through a crowd of other passengers and board the train at last. Yes! We're finally getting to the academy. Oh! Those are cool looking lamps. As the train pulls into the station outside of Amadronia Academy, I'm finally greeted by a sight that I've only ever seen in pictures and recordings. Amadronia Academy, not a projection, not a photograph, but the real deal. The moment I depart from the carriage, I understand why Amadronia Academy was built in this rather inconvenient location. High-quality ether. A requirement for any mage serious about furthering their art is absorbed into my body through my skin. It is a difficult feeling to describe, but for a mage, there is nothing greater. Just as muddy rainwater is incomparable to clean drinking water, so too is the ether surrounding this academy, leagues ahead of that of any found in the city. I like saying aether, but it's actually pronounced ether, and I'm just like, I really like aether. It sounds pretty, but ether. Compared to the town which I grew up, this is undoubtedly a location far better suited to the nurturing of a young mage's growth. For all the projections and immersive sense escapes, so that must be some other kind of imaging technology, I've experienced, none of them even come close to the real thing. There was no way that Amadronia Academy was built here by chance. The purity and density of the ether here is unbelievable, and even a new student like me can appreciate that fact. If it's here, in a place filled with such high-quality ether, and so far away from the judgment of ordinary human beings, I have no doubt that I'll be able to perform feats I thought impossible back home. Walking a few steps in front of Ray, I enter the academy. Even though there are other people scattered about, for the most part Ray and I are undisturbed. It seems that existing students are in class, as are their teachers. The only people wandering around aimlessly right now are new students, many of whom are feeling whimsical and showing bright smiles as they enjoy the ambiance.
It feels so good to be back here. I'd almost forgotten how mystical this place felt.
I refrain from uttering the words ether and lecturing Ray on the reason for that mystical feeling. Instead, I simply nod my head. You're right. This may be my first time here in the flesh, but the feeling Amadronia Academy gives off definitely lives up to the hype. Ray stretches her back and inhales deeply, like one would when lapping up for the fresh air of the countryside. Ether is absorbed through the skin, and it's not something we inhale, so her actions don't actually accomplish anything. Nevertheless, judging by the pleased expression on her face, the placebo effect may be enough for Ray. So, where to first? We still have half an hour or so before the opening ceremony. Are you going to your dorm room first? Or are you going to socialize?
I was thinking I'd just go straight to the auditorium, so I wouldn't get lost and be late. But before that, I'm going to visit the cafeteria.
Of course, food. The cafeteria? But didn't you just... Before I remind Ray that she was eating snacks the entire train ride here, I remember her list of hobbies. As it turns out, she wasn't kidding. Ray is, despite her appearance, a glutton. Well, have fun. I'm gonna take a look around.
Okay, see you later. Oh, and one more thing before you go.
Ray straightens her back and faces me with a smile on her face.
I hope we get placed in the same class, Sable.
I thought she was gonna say senpai for a moment. Ray skips off happily, with a slight tinge of red in her cheeks. Uh-oh. As she quickly disappears from my sight, I don't have the heart to tell Ray that our class listings have already been posted. Or that we're in separate classes. Without bothering to summon my terminal, I walk around the courtyard outside, heading nowhere in particular. At this point in time, most of the new students are inside, either unpacking their belongings or getting changed before the opening ceremony. As someone who wore their uniform on the train ride over, and sent their luggage to the academy ahead of time, I feel no obligation to do the same. For now, my only duty is to familiarize myself with the campus before the opening ceremony begins. It may seem a bit unsocial of me to avoid everyone like this, but I guess that can't be helped. They're all either talking in the hallway with their friends or preparing in their rooms anyway. Even if I did make an effort right now, I wouldn't make much of a difference. Or it wouldn't make much of a difference. I should wait until after the ceremony is over before I try to socialize. Happy to put off the imminent social activity, I walk through the empty courtyard while feeling justified in my choice. It's not as if I don't want to make friends. I'm just more interested in Amadronia Academy itself right now. Once I've had a good look around, then I can worry about other people. The Academy's scentscapes didn't do Amadronia any justice at all. This place is nothing like the recordings I've seen. Not that I'm surprised by that. Generally, only 5th year students are skilled enough to even record a scentscape, let alone a decent one, and they'd be too busy with their studies to make anything too elaborate. So scentscapes are probably almost like a visual recording, maybe with sounds and smells and even maybe things like the breeze. I should consider myself lucky to have experienced any scentscapes of the Academy at all. Scentscapes, complete recordings of the sights, the smells, the touch, and the taste of everything which the recorder experiences. Ah, interesting. Scentscapes are often thought as a magical equivalent of virtual reality technology, cranked all the way up to a brand new extreme. Everything feels completely real. There's no discernible difference between running your hands along a stone wall in a scentscape and doing so in real life. Any experience in one is exactly the same as the other. To the majority of individuals, there's only one noteworthy difference between experiencing reality and immersing yourself in a scentscape. Put simply, it's the lack of control. As nice as it would be to be able to freely move around as I see fit, walking around for real is pretty tiring. Maybe I should head back earlier than I planned. Besides, as interesting as it may be to wander around, I can't afford to fully relax when I know that time isn't on my side. I'll just take a proper look into that matter when I have nothing else to do. A proper look later. Resolving myself to put off further exploration until later, I turned towards the academy in order to return to where I came from. The second I turned around, however, I noticed something blocking my path. Oh, hello there. You must have crept up on me. I didn't hear you at all. Wait, what? It's another student, an elf in fact.
Mind your tongue, human. I did no such thing. I was simply curious as to where a newcomer such as yourself might be headed. I most assuredly was not creeping around.
Okay then. I take a step back and look at the obstinate girl in front of me. Long, silver hair, bright yellow eyes, and above all, the characteristic ears of an elf. At a glance, it was obvious which race this girl belongs to.
What is it? Do my ears truly fascinate you so?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stare. It's just, I don't really know any demi-humans, so...
I will forgive this transgression. However, I must warn you that others might not be so accommodating. If this is your first time living amongst other races, then you'd best be mindful of how you act around others.
Yes, right, you're completely right. My apologies, miss...
Even if I gave you my name, you would not remember it. You probably wouldn't even be able to pronounce it.
Then, do you have a nickname? I have to call you something after all.
My non-elven acquaintances call me Lisha.
Lisha, is it? That's a nice name.
Of course it is nice. What were you expecting?
Despite her harsh tone, Lisha appears to be embarrassed as she gives me her name. Defensive though she may be, it seems Lisha hasn't actually rejected my presence just yet. So, Lisha, are you a new student here too?
Clearly I am. Were I in a different grade, I would be in class right now, rather than speaking to you.
Not necessarily. I hear that once you reach your 3rd year at this academy, you pretty much make your own schedule. Or you could just be a truant. Though I guess a serious person like you wouldn't be skipping class, would you?
You assume that I'm a serious person.
Am I wrong?
Not entirely. Be that as it may, you shouldn't judge others based on their appearance, especially if you aren't familiar with non-human races. You could get yourself into a lot of trouble by making assumptions about the students here.
Oh, right. You did just say that I should be mindful about how I address others. I'll try to keep your words of wisdom in mind. Thinking about Lisha's warning for a moment, I turn my palm upward. I bring my terminal up once more and search through a list of students in my class. 1C. Let's see now. Lisha. No results found. I don't see... Hey! No sooner had I called forth than my terminal disappears. Sticking her hand straight through my terminal, just like right before, Lisha suddenly draws close. Not you two. Why does everyone...
You are able to use a terminal.
Everyone's so surprised. Lisha brings her face close to mine. Her expression is serious, but there's a sense of unease and urgency in her tone of voice. Yes, that's right. I was just wondering if we were in the same class, so I was checking our year's advisor's posts. Ordinarily, students need to wait until the opening ceremony to find out which class that they're being placed in and who their classmates will be. However, the fact that this information they seek is actually made available ahead of time is simply inaccessible to most people. To view the listings, one must either be a teacher or a student attending Amadronia Academy and be able to use a terminal. This means that early access to class listings, among their tidbits of information, has become a kind of reward for talented first-year students. Though, for the most part, it's something that's simply taken advantage of by those with siblings or friends in higher grades.
Unbelievable. To think that a mere human could master the usage of a terminal before me.
The tables have turned. No, I'm not a master or anything, I just...
Human, what is your name?
Sable. Sable Labir.
Labir. Sable.
Lisha averts her gaze for a moment as she loses herself in thought. After a few moments, Lisha's eyes open wide, and she looks at me in the eye once more.
Impossible. You were ranked in the bottom half of this year's applicants. How could you possibly know an advanced spell already?
The smile. Wait, so she's been studying all the applicants? Is she just... She's one of those people that wants to be the best, isn't she? I smile wryly and look away. Unfortunately, it's just as Lisha says. I ranked quite poorly on the entrance exam for Amadronia Academy. But he's human! Give him a break. Truthfully, our individual rankings aren't all that important. We're here to learn how to use our powers for the good of society after all, not to compete for rankings. Be that as it may, our rankings do serve a purpose, and I take no pride in my poor performance in the exam. Had I ranked well, I would have started my life here with an increased allowance from the academy. I would also be given more leeway on assignments, preferential treatment from teachers, and other perks. As a lower-ranking student, however, not only will I miss out on such perks, but also nobody will expect anything from me. Just work hard and determination, or hard work and determination, I guess. Terminal is an advanced spell, but it isn't strenuous. Even someone as weak as me can... No, wait. Forget about that for a second. How did you know what rank I am? You didn't seriously memorize the rankings of every student on our grade, did you?
Does that surprise you? Listen well, human. We elves possess many abilities which your kind does not. Unfaltering memory and unnatural gift for magic are just the tip of the iceberg. You'd best not underestimate us.
Lisha begins to zone out as she speaks. Her words slow down and she cuts herself off mid-sentence, losing herself in thought.
No, it couldn't be. Did you purposely do poorly on the entrance exam so that people would underestimate you?
Huh? What are you talking about? I tried really hard on the entrance exam, okay? I just hadn't studied the right material for the exam. Wait, you hadn't studied the right material? And I was completely destroyed by the physical portion of the exam.
I understand now. You play the fool, but you are undoubtedly a truly frightful being.
Huh? Are you talking about me? I'm not playing anything, and I've never frightened anyone in my life.
Silence! You'll not fool me a second time. Curses! To think that I was so proud of myself for having been named valedictorian. How frustrating! For someone so gifted to be hiding among the rabble was an unforgivable oversight on my part.
Boy, who are you calling rabble? Lisha snorts and turns her head.
So be it. I may have gotten ahead of myself, but I have not lost yet. I will not forget this, Sable LeBear. Mark my words, I will surpass you.
Leaving behind such a declaration, Lisha walks straight past me, towards the entrance of the academy. For a moment, I simply stare at her receding figure, trying to make sense of our bizarre meeting. But before I can think about it too deeply, I realize that my time is up. The opening ceremony will begin any minute now, and I have no time to waste. I return to the academy's entrance and proceed inside. There are fewer students around than when I was entered before, and the hallways are eerily quiet as a result. Like myself, the only students still walking around are those headed towards the auditorium. Wait, reptilian student?
Hey, where are you going? I'm not done talking to you.
Except for one.
How rude. Some people have no manners at all. I ought to grab them by the scruff of their neck and...
Uh-oh, here comes trouble. Don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact.
Huh? Oh, hey there.
Ah, damn it. I avert my gaze and keep walking. While I'd be lying if I said that this person's appearance didn't immediately make me curious, I don't have time to indulge myself right now. Hey, you there.
Yeah, you. What's the rush? Come on, talk to me for a minute.
What's the rush? I'm on my way to the... Oh, wait, internalizing it won't do any good. I need to tell it to her out loud. He always talks to himself. That's hilarious. Sorry, but can I get through here? The opening ceremony is...
Opening ceremony? Oh, right,
that dumb thing. It's just a bunch of geezers and hags talking down to us, right? Who would want to attend something like that? Ignoring her harsh words, I find myself staring at the horns on the head of the reptilian student standing in front of me. As I quickly glance at her wings and tail, sweat begins to pour down my face. What, he's never seen a dragon girl before? But not out of fear or nervousness or anything. It's a fear of my own obsession. What, does he love dragons? This person has caught my interest. Are you a drake?
That's right. Dracon the Drake, they call me.
Wait, her name is Dracon? I suppose that's on point.
My father wanted to call me Drake, but my mother said that would be redundant.
You were almost Drake the Drake?
I know, hilarious, right?
But my parents compromised, so instead they called me Dracon. Or at least, I think that's my backstory Mama gave me. I know it was something along those lines. Anyway, forget about that. It doesn't matter. More importantly, do you like my wings? Confused by the seemingly random shift in our conversation, I stare at Dracon in surprise for a moment before responding. I do. Yes? Why do you ask?
Well, you keep staring at them, so I figured you might. Want to touch them?
You'll let me?
Sure, go right ahead.
Before I even realize it, my hands are reaching towards the stranger in front of me. I hesitate a moment before making contact, unsure if indulging myself in this is really appropriate or not. or if it's appropriate or not. Are those like veins or is it crystals or something? She's really buff and muscular. She must work out, unless it's just a Drake thing. Noticing my restraint, Dracon moves her wings forward, shortening the distance between us all on her own. In response to Dracon's gesture, I finally swallow the last of my reservations and press my fingers against her wing. This is amazing. The skin is tough, but also squishy, and every part I touch is so smooth. Are there bones in here?
Not really.
That part is mostly cartilage. I actually don't have as many bones as a human, you know. I wouldn't be able to fly otherwise due to the weight. Wait, so she's super muscular, but also has more cartilage bones? So that'd be weird, because then would you be strong but also fragile? So you can really fly with these?
Of course. They aren't just for decoration, you know.
But don't go asking for a lift, okay? I'm not strong enough to carry someone else when I fly around in this form. Wait, in this form? Does she have a dragon form? I see. How about this part? The webbing looks thin, but it's surprisingly strong.
Function over form, my friend. Strong and light, perfect for flying.
They're a mongrel to clean, though, and it's pretty painful when they get cut. Oh, so they're not just fleshless appendages used for transport.
What? Of course not. They're still a part of my body.
Sheesh. You think I don't have feelings or something? Sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. I just let my curiosity get the best of me.
It's okay. I understand.
Besides, I'm the one who approached you in the first place. You're the first person to actually talk to me since I got here. Really? Yeah. Everyone who sees me just walks away or runs in the opposite direction. It's like, what do you think I'm gonna do? Eat you? Burn your village down? I mean, they might actually be right. It's not like I've never eaten other demi-humans before. And if I got hungry enough, I probably would take a bite out of them. Ah! Oh no! She has eaten other demi-humans? And was it when she was in dragon form or drake form? And oh, and can she lose control? That's a little frightening. Need to drink water. Doing all these husky voices is a little much. But still, I'm trying to be on my best behavior, you know? I haven't even set fire to anything all morning. Uh-oh, like setting fire to things is a frequent occurrence. The moment I begin to feel sorry for Dracon, she gives me a good reason not to. While I don't doubt Lisha's advice about not judging demi-humans based on their appearance, in Dracon's case, I would have been right. Oh well, who needs people like them? I'd much rather be talking to someone open-minded and understanding like you anyway. Mama told me that most humans are scum, but I knew that you weren't all bad. I mean, if you were, I never would have been born, you know? Ah, 'cause she's probably half drake, half human. If humans were all bad, then Dracon would never have been born? Dracon's words repeat in my mind as an awkward question begins to surface. I want to ask Dracon to elaborate, but at the same time, I'm wary of offending her by making any further assumptions. Be that as it may, my hesitation only lasts for a moment before, I know it, my curiosity is won and my mouth has begun to open. Just to be clear, Dracon, your mother...
Yep, 100% dragon.
And your father?
100% human.
Unbelievable. A human and a dragon actually mated with one another and produced an offspring? If the proof wasn't standing right before my eyes at this very moment, I wouldn't believe it. My eyes suddenly shoot wide open as Dracon's words bring to mind an old fairy tale I heard as a child. It's a lengthy tale, in which a knight leaves his kingdom in order to slay an evil dragon. But when the knight approaches the dragon's cave, however, he finds no such beast. Instead, what awaits him is a beautiful woman. To cut a long story short, the dragon agrees to spare his kingdom if he stays with her, serving as the father to her children. also remember that there was another story about a man who had fallen in love with a woman, and she couldn't step foot in a church. There was something about churches that I think it was because it was holy ground. But of course they decide to get married, and when he takes her into the church, her true form is revealed and she turns into a dragon and flies away. I'd have to look back into that legend to see what the other what the context of it was and where it originated from. Quite frankly, I always found it to be a bizarre story to tell a child, especially a human child living in a society so phobic of demi-humans. With a half-dragon now standing in front of me, however, I can't help but think that the tale may not be a work of fiction after all. Hello? Are you still with me? Earth to... wait, what did you say your name was again? I blink in surprise as Dracon draws closer to my face. Finally snapping back to reality, I quickly take a step back and regain my composure. Sorry about that. I got a bit distracted there for a minute. Anyway, my name is Sable. And just like your father, I'm 100% human. Sable, huh? I like that name. It's short and easy to remember. So, do you have any other questions, Sable? Whatever you want to know, just ask. I am an open book. Dracon smiles cheerfully as she makes a kind proposition. For someone like me, who's curious to a fault, her offer is like a dream come true. I can ask whatever I want of this rare being whose existence I would have doubted just over an hour ago, and she'll gladly answer me. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to decline. Eh? Why? You don't want to know more about me? I won't get offended or anything, I promise. It's not that. I really want to ask, it's just the opening ceremony has started without us. Dracon stares at me in confusion for a second, then sighs in relief. Is that all? Huh, you had me worried for a second there. I thought you didn't like me. If it's just the ceremony, don't worry about it. It'll be drag anyway. That may be true, but we should still attend. What if they tell us something important? We can just ask the other students about what we missed. Besides, it's not like they dump all of the important stuff on us at once. Usually they'll have some kind of information day ahead of time, or spread it out during the first week. That's how human schools work, right? That's true, but I smile wryly as I come to understand a little bit more about this girl called Dracon. You didn't get the letter either, huh? Huh? What letter? Nobody's dumb enough to deliver letters to Mama's cave. They see the human skeletons outside and run for the hills. I figure as much. It's kind of a relief I'm not the only one who missed the orientation day. Though at the same time, it does reinforce my belief that a school like this shouldn't be relying on such a dated medium in the first place. So, what do you want to do while the other students are sitting through the boring whatchamacallit? Sorry, Dracon, but I still think we should go inside. Even if we're late, the ceremony has just only started, so we should be able to sit through most of it. Oh, I see. Fine. Let's listen to the hags and the geezers blather about nothing while they slowly die. That's the spirit? Though clearly reluctant, Dracon leads the way. She takes me to the door of the auditorium, through which we can see our fellow newcomers. In addition to the students, we can see all of our homeroom teachers, our year advisor, the principal, and other faculty members. Our grade is fairly small compared to previous years. Without even turning my head, I can see the rest of the newcomers, not even 200 in number. An Ekomata, a Lamia, a Pixie, so a cat person, half snake person. Pixie is probably more like a fairy. Boy, the entire room is filled with all sorts of demi-humans. Nobody as surprising as Dracon, but still an impressive sight. I can't wait to see them all up close. Ka-chick. Huh? Ka-chick, ka-chick. What's wrong? Change your mind? No, it's not that, but... What? Ka-chick, ka-chick. We've been locked out. I stare at the door handle in disbelief. Locked out. We were just a few minutes late and they've already locked the door on us. This isn't good.
Locked out, huh? How dare they?
I step away from the door and look at Dracon in surprise. What are you getting mad at, Dracon? You didn't even want to attend the ceremony, did you?
Of course I want to, but that isn't the same as being told I can't attend. Who do they think they are, locking me out like this? I'll show them.
Oh no. She's gonna burn the place down. Dracon puffs out her chest as she slowly inhales. I can see a bright light emanating from within Dracon's chest as she purses her lips, preparing to spew forth flames of an unfathomable temperature. Dracon, stop! You can't start a fire inside of the academy. Let's just skip this ceremony after all, okay? My words fall on deaf ears. Dracon's chest continues to expand, and I can see the rage in her eyes. If I dawdle, she's going to burn me to ashes along with the door. Before I can get burned to death or blamed for damaging academy property, I run down the hallway as quickly as I can. Behind me, I can hear panic and the sound of the fire alarm going off, but I pay no mind and continue to run. That crazy bastard, she really did it. What the hell is she thinking? I quickly open up my terminal and search through the names of the students in my class. No results found, so she's not even in one seat either. After trying a few different possible spellings of her name, I sigh in relief, certain that Dracon is not in my class. Thank goodness for that. Dracon may not be a bad person, but she's definitely trouble. Being in her class would be too much. Giving myself a moment to calm down, I take a quick look at the names of the students who actually are in my class. Oh, so he does have a class. While I don't recognize any of them, I'm not disappointed by this fact. After all, the only people who I know from this school are the few who I've met earlier today. It would be a bigger surprise if one of them was in my class. Wait a second, I might have spoken too soon. Lail Shaha Shia. Oh, crap. Lisha was right. There's no way I can pronounce her name. Just as I'm dismissing my terminal, one name catches my eye. Although I don't have proof that the girl with the difficult to pronounce name in my class is Lisha, I'm fairly confident in my guess. Oh well, it's better than entering the class without knowing anyone, I suppose. With my terminal no longer visible, I decide to take a better look at my surroundings. While running, I paid little attention to my destination. I just wanted to get away from Dracon before I could get caught up in her mess. But now that I'm taking a good look around, it's pretty clear where I wound up. Yep, this is the cafeteria. Do you think that Ray ended up here? Also, I love the little crystal lamps. They're so cute. I remember these tables. Just the little plastic stools. The cafeteria, huh? Come to think of it, Ray said that she was going to eat here earlier. I wonder if she had any luck getting served. I take a quick look around the cafeteria. Despite the fact that this is an academy devoted to the study of magic, there doesn't appear to be any difference in the decor or the atmosphere. It seems that eateries are just the same, no matter where you go. How disappointing! I was hoping at least to see serving dishes made out of mithril or holographic projections of each dish. Maybe the kitchen is where the magic happens? I may not be particularly good at using magic to cook, but it is a fairly common practice. Incendiary spells used to heat the ingredients, water created out of thin air, an artificial breeze to cool dishes off, displacement spells to rotate hot masses of meat, or to move ingredients in dishes without ever touching them. Suffice to say, mixing the arts of magic and cooking has yielded very intriguing, worthwhile results. When using magic, cooking becomes faster, easier, and cheaper. It's also much less troublesome when it comes time to clean up afterwards. Best of all, it provides students with a straightforward means by which to practice spellcasting, and it offers immediate, tangible results. For students at any magic academy, using magic to assist with the process of cooking is a no-brainer. Perhaps it's time for me to learn how to cook as well. Now that I don't have my parents around to feed me, it's bound to be a useful talent. Or I could just visit the cafeteria. That has to be easier than traveling to the city and buying a bunch of ingredients for personal consumption, never mind actually cooking them. Shrugging off my new responsibilities as soon as they come to mind, I walk closer to the counter and look at the menu. Curious to see what a cafeteria catering for different species might contain. At a glance, most of the dishes don't seem to be anything special. Salads, sandwiches, noodles, the usual stuff that you'd see at any cafeteria. Towards the bottom of the menu, however, live frogs, gnats, platypus eggs, holy water, unholy water, white rhinoceros meat?
They have white rhinoceros meat here? How did I miss that?
That should be illegal. They're probably an endangered species right now. I know that. I think black rhinoceroses are practically extinct. Sharing my surprise, Ray suddenly appears beside me. Ray, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be in the auditorium. Don't tell me that you've been eating this whole time.
How rude. I did go to the auditorium, just like I was supposed to. But the door was locked, so I came back here.
Ah, I see. Me too, actually. By the time I arrived, they had already started.
Oh well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. More importantly, come over here. I want to show you something.
Show me something? In the cafeteria? Given our current location, the first thing that comes to my mind is obviously food. Considering all the peculiar dishes being sold here, I wouldn't be surprised that she'd ordered something unspeakable or whipped up something of her own. By the time Ray has stopped talking, however, I realize that what she wants to show me isn't something edible. Or at least, I don't think it's edible. Oh, they look like a flower person. Maybe they're a pixie or dryad or something else? She has vines for hair and petals and more petals.
Ray, he's looking right at me. How?
In a soft voice, the being in front of me speaks. It turns away and reaches out to Ray, who laughs and stands next to it.
There's nothing to be afraid of. This is Sable, the human I was telling you about earlier. Sable? You remember, the person who can use a terminal? Oh.
The green creature peeks out from behind Ray. Still shaking, it slowly musters the courage required to speak to me, despite its fear.
Hello?
Hi.
I am F. Pleased to meet you.
With panic in its voice, the creature calls itself F, bows its head. I'm pleased to meet you too, Eth. My name is Sable Labir. I hope that we might get along. Eth bows its head while moving further away from me. Eth?
Don't worry about Eth. She's just a bit shy. Maybe it's because she's a mandragora. Oh,
kind of like a mandrake. Eth is a girl? No, more importantly, Eth is a mandragora? While Ray herself doesn't seem quite to understand her own hypothesis, she might actually be correct. Mandragoras have been unintentionally slaughtered by humans for eons. We have decimated their homes in the name of progress and killed them in large numbers while mistaking them for plant life. It's no surprise that Eth is wary around humans, particularly strangers like myself. A mandragora, huh? I really am meeting all kinds of demi-humans today. I'd better be careful about meeting up with Dracon while Eth is around. That seems like a disaster waiting to happen. Towards Eth, who still appears to be nervous, I extend my hand. You don't need to be afraid of me, Eth. I won't harm you. And if anyone does try to hurt you, let me know. I'll make them regret it. I may be weak, but I do have some rather nasty tricks up my sleeve. Like minutely altering the path of someone's internal ether flow to press against their bowel, for instance. In other words, making them pee or poop. Or lowering the amount of oxygen in the air around them until they pass out. Eth looks at my hand timidly, then up at my face. Though clearly still scared, she hesitantly extends one of her hands towards me.
Thank you. And me too. You too? If anyone bullies Sable, I'll poison them. Oh, that's a great idea.
No. It's not a great idea.
Hey, Eth, do you think you can make some poison for me? I want to put some into a squirt gun in case one of my admirers tries something funny.
Wait, she's already thinking of admirers? As in stalkers?
Sure, no problem.
That is a problem. Though I'm dubious about whether those admirers actually exist or not. This is our first day on campus. There's no way that you could have an admirer already.
That's not true. Hawkeye was totally hitting on me earlier.
Was he, Eth? What? Seriously?
Hey, why do you trust her more than you trust me?
Because it's not S pride that gets hurt if you're lying. Anyway, what kind of guy was it? Were they a demi-human? Maybe they just wanted to feast on you.
Come on. Is it really that difficult for you to... Oh, wait a second. I get it.
A playful smirk appears on Ray's face. No, Ray, don't you assume that Sable likes you. Don't.
You're jealous, aren't you?
Facepalm, face back. I knew it. Come again?
That's it, isn't it? Oh gosh, it's only my first day at Amadronia Academy and there are already 2 guys showing an interest in me. What should I do, Eth? I'm not ready for this. Copulate with the stronger male. A powerful partner will lead to better offspring.
Of course, Mandragora would say something like that. Oh gosh. Yeah, I don't really know much about the plant people, but yeah, I'm pretty sure some of the demi-humans are reminiscent of the animals or the plants that they're after or that they're based on. I don't really... Do plants really have a whole thing about strength though? I thought the thing about plants is that they tend to just let their pollen fly willy-nilly through the air. It's kind of random if you think about it. But I'm pretty sure if they were looking in on, say, mammalian mating rituals and stuff, it would more often than not be a contest of strength.
That's a good point. Well, you heard her, Sable. I guess you'll just have to fight for my love.
I'm not fighting anyone. I stare at the 2 girls bemusedly. At this point, I can't tell if they're joking or not. Also, where are the guys in this school? They've apparently met one, but all the characters that we've seen so far have been female. Though, that may also be because this is also a dating sim? Anyway, just who is this guy that's supposedly interested in you, Ray? It isn't one of the teachers, is it?
Of course not. Don't even joke about that. This boy's the same age as us. He's blonde, human, and totally good looking.
Really? That's kind of disappointing. Oh, was he hoping that it was going to be a demi-human that was interested in her? Also, I'm kind of surprised. Like, I can understand Dracon being an anomaly, being half dragon, half human. But you would have to wonder that if there are a number of other demi-humans that are also partially human and maybe other half-breeds, why haven't there been more mixes and mixes of mixes and mixes of mixes of mixes until, you know, you have, sure, a couple of bloodlines where there's a stronger magical affinity with a particular type, but I don't know. I'm just surprised that there aren't more half-breeds and even mixtures amongst those half-breeds. Couldn't you have dreamed up something more interesting? Wait, Sable is still... he's still questioning her?
I didn't dream him up. He's definitely real. Oh, but maybe he isn't.
Come on, Ray.
I'm not sure, okay? I mean, I definitely spoke to him, but it's like, it wasn't really him, you know?
Oh, unless they're a shapeshifter or a ghost? No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Ray, did you inhale the spores on my back?
So maybe some hallucinogenic spores?
I didn't inhale anything.
Are you sure about... Wait, what was that about spores? I think back to what little I know about mandragoras. Although I'm admittedly no expert, I don't recall reading anything about hallucinogenic spores being found on mandragoras. Was Eth making a joke, or is this something mandragoras keep to themselves in order to avoid being hunted for a specific reason?
Jeez, you two, it's really so hard to believe that a hot guy would hit on me.
On your first day in the cafeteria? Yeah, I am afraid that does seem rather implausible. Besides, Ray, even if you aren't sure if he exists, how are we supposed to believe in him?
That's a fair point. Maybe I should confirm that he exists first.
Ray goes silent for a moment as she contemplates her next course of action. After a few moments, Ray nods once, then allows a wild smile to spread across her face. Or a wide smile. I mean, a wild smile makes sense too.
All right, let's go to the opening ceremony and prove that I'm not crazy.
The door is locked, remember? But also probably burned down at this point.
I'll figure something out.
Ignoring my advice, Ray storms off, heading towards the auditorium. What do you think, Eth? Should we go?
I'll go, if you carry me.
What?
What?
Okay, and things only get more uncomfortable from here on. I'll recap the rest of what I played before my voice gave out. With the auditorium door magically repaired after Dracon's outburst, Sable, Ray, and Eth return to the cafeteria and are met with the other first-year students and their class advisor, this busty succubus, named Eris Monte. With her inhuman guile, she's able to get everyone to behave and do exactly as she wants. Sable discovers that his dorm room is smack dab in the middle of the girls' floor, and right next to Ray's room, which prompts him to message Eris via his terminal asking for a transfer to the boys' dorm. She, like everyone else, is surprised that he can use a terminal, but immediately tells him to buzz off and consider wearing a padded bra to fit in, and then blocks him. Ugh, I really hate her already. Sable then starts to unpack in his dorm room, only to discover that he has a roommate, a pixie named Tix. Tix readily explains that her mother likely arranged for him to be her roommate, as pixies are an all-female species that rely on pairing with men from other races to procreate. She's not even at the school to learn magic, but to get pregnant within the next 2 years, at which point she'd return to her people. Sable, of course, is mortified, especially when she starts inquiring about his family's health history, and apparently adds him to a potential list of candidates. Sable makes his way to his first class, where he ponders about his predicament. It's revealed that in his personal studies, he's potentially discovered new methods and revelations about the nature of ether and magic, and that in attending Amadronia Academy, he hopes to be able to prove his hypotheses and fundamentally change the way people approach magic. That's pretty cool. I wish we could get to that part. He then bumps into Lisha again, and the two come to a begrudging understanding. Like Sable, she intends to excel in her studies, but definitely has issues with socializing with other students, which is not surprising given how chaotic things have been thus far. I can actually relate a lot to her, and of all the characters Sable's met, she's by far my favorite. Given that she's in your class, and also focused on her studies, I bet she's going to be one of the grounding students Sable can befriend. Then Sable gets to his class, which is rowdy and full of pervy pranksters apparently, and is ambushed by a blonde, faceless entity that tries to seduce him with magic. No doubt the admirer Ray mentioned earlier. Fortunately, Sable's narration reveals that he can see ether in ways that many can't, which allows him to dispel the illusion before he falls completely under Hell's control. Hell is impressed by his abilities and becomes all the more enamored with Sable because of it. Eris then lazily teaches class by putting on the equivalent of an introductory video on ether, much to Lisha and Sable's dismay. During the break, Sable ventures into the library, where he gazes in awe at all the undigitized ancient books. He then encounters an upperclassman girl reminiscent of a spider. She has been munching on books, but they converse about Sable's ability to use a terminal and about his succubus advisor. According to the spider girl, Joro, Eris often starts making advances on male students through unsolicited terminal messages. It's why, despite her power, she was tasked with teaching terminal lacking first years, as she would not be able to prey upon them. Ugh. Sable and Joro exchange numbers so that he has at least one upperclassman contact to help him around campus, and that's the extent of what I played. Well, overall, I love the illustrations and the premise of the Magic Academy in Sable's Grimoire. Sable's narrations about humanity and their dealings with magic, ether, and demi-humans really immersed you into the world presented. The characters themselves are also varied and interesting takes on classic creatures from folklore and myth, but I was definitely taken aback by how quickly they were making advances on poor Sable. He just wants to learn about magic, for goodness sake. Leave the guy alone! However, this is definitely a dating sim. You can have Sable ultimately romance many of the characters introduced here. And there's several diverging plot points that lead to 19 different endings. There's also inferences in the Steam page that there's a darker undercurrent to the narrative that doesn't involve Sable wooing his classmates, which hopefully adds further depth to the world building and creates a worthy conflict. Currently, the game is about $15 on Steam, and there's a sizable demo as well. I played over 2 hours. Granted, a lot of that was reading all the dialogue aloud and with additional commentary, and I did not even reach the end of the first day of school. Aside from the unwanted advances of Sable's peers, the only other disappointment I had was that there weren't more branching decisions and dialogue choices. But if you're a fan of dating sims and magical monster girls, this is definitely the game for you. Thank you again, Needful Thing, for supporting us on Patreon and suggesting Sable's Grimoire. And many thanks to all of you for watching. See you next time!